What's up, everybody? Today we're going to change gears a little bit and we're going to give you an update on the Demon Performance WK1 Jeep that we've had for a long time. I think the last update I did on this thing was doing all the tube work on the front, and we've done a good bit to it, and I overlooked doing a video of the K-Member and stuff whenever I had it or whenever we had it out of the Jeep. Now everything's in the Jeep, everything's put together, and I can kind of show you about all that. So let's start with that. So for those that don't know, this is Demon Performance out of South Carolina. This started out as a customer's Jeep from California, but the build has evolved into something that's going to be more of just a race Jeep, basically. And the customers decided that it was kind of more than what they wanted to deal with. They had kind of changed their minds, so Demon Performance actually bought this Jeep and everything that went along with it that had been done to this point. So now this is their shop Jeep, long story short. So the last update, we did all the tube work in the front, cut everything off, kept some of the stock mounting points for the fenders. The front cross brace or the core support still bolts on, just like factory. All the headlights will still bolt up, and we kind of stopped there because they're going to do the turbo setup and everything at their facility, and we didn't want to add any more bars to get in their way for that, because just not knowing what they're going to do. So one of the big projects with this Jeep was the Tubular K-Member. Now this is the only Tubular K-Member in existence for a WK1 that incorporates all the factory stuff. You can see we've got the factory steering rack in here, got factory motor mounts. Now these are just motor mounts that we've got from Rock Auto, just something to put this mock-up motor in place. This is going to be a motor plate deal and all that. So this is just the first K-Member we made, and we wanted to put it in with all the factory stuff and make sure that everything is going to hook up the way it's supposed to, and it did. So the K-Member's all chromoly, of course. See the mounting points for the front drive axle. You got factory motor mount provisions here. One thing that we did have to do, obviously all the factory suspension stuff will bolt up. We did make this little bar here removable so you can get the front drive axle out. So this is the same type connection that you would see on like a removable K-Member on like a Pro Mod or something like that, super strong. But this is not the actual K-Member we're going to be using in this Jeep. Like I said, this is just one that we made. You can see the fixture here has a million pieces. We just wanted to test fit everything, but this one will probably get powder coated and sent to Demon Performance for them to put in one of their other Jeeps that they've got down there, because the version we're going to make for this will be the same thing, only it won't have the motor mount provisions, and it will incorporate a manual steering rack, which we've got a manual steering rack that is for actually another OEM model of vehicle that we're going to adapt in here, because it's got the same width and the same input for the steering shaft and all that. So that worked out good that we was able to find one that would work. But in doing that, we're going to drop some more weight, open up some more room, not going to have the same mounting points and stuff like that. So it'll be a little bit different, but pretty much the same, if that makes sense. So the engine is mounted up in here just like OEM. We've got an OEM transmission case on the thing, and we've got the transfer case, just all hollow stuff mocked up in there, because if any of you watched the video on my Datsun on the Hammer Concepts and Designs rear end, we're getting brine to build the rear end for this thing. You can see behind me we got the RC components. Gonna really look sick on this thing. Got the fronts to match. This is not necessarily ride height. I know it looks kind of like it's got a bunch of fender space, but right now we've got our plumb bobs hanging down, and we was measuring driveline center and measuring the overall rear end width. And right now we've got the plumb bob hanging off the inside lip of the fender, because just the way the contour of this fender is, you're not going to gain much cutting this lip off, because it actually rolls in as it goes to the front. So you're pretty much going to have to stay inside that lip all the way back. We're going to do carbon tubs in this thing and everything, so it'll have a ton of room inside. Inside, you see we got everything hollowed out. Everything's cleaned up good. The frame rails are capped off. Pretty much in just preparation for getting everything laid out. We've got, I'll show you these. We've got these 4-link brackets from Hammer Concepts also. These come as a weld together kit. I got them welded all up and they're ready to go. Really nice brackets. A lot of adjustability. We've also lightened up the doors. You wouldn't believe how much weight comes out of these doors. Just shutting them like that, they feel like a fiberglass door without all the guts in them. So we're going to do carbon sheets over this. You can see we've got cardboard templates over there for that. We have cut the roof off, which that might have been done on the last video, I don't know, but I'll tell you again. We cut the roof skin off. It had a sunroof in it, and we've got a solid roof skin back there we're going to put back on in its place. Gonna, you know, get all that structure out of there, lighten it up a little bit. Trying to think of what else. I think that's about it. But a lot of people have asked about the K-Member stuff. We're gonna produce it, obviously, because we built a fixture for it, but we're not gonna sell it. This will be an exclusively a Demon Performance part. So those guys have the market for the Jeep. You can see the factory K-Member here. This big stamped out piece, the sway bar on it. Originally, this one was gonna keep, and it still will. We just haven't got around to making the brackets or figuring out what we're gonna do there. But the idea was to be able to keep the sway bar and stuff on the front, and that's still coming. We just have to figure out what we're gonna do as far as that. But like I said, if you're interested in one of these, we will be manufacturing them in the future. We don't have a price point yet, or Demon doesn't, because we haven't really give them a price point of what it's going to cost to manufacture this thing. So if you're interested in it, just stay on the lookout. They'll be posting information about it whenever they're available, and whenever we get to that point. We just got to work through all this and make sure that everything is good to go before we start putting these things together for them. But like I said, you'll have to go through them to get this. You won't be able to buy it from us. You won't be able to buy it from anybody else. It'll be only through them. So just stay in touch for details on that. But as far as anything else goes, that's pretty much it. We're still working on a lower control arm upgrade, something a little bit lighter weight, but the way this thing's designed, it's kind of hard just to throw a tubular control arm together, especially with something 4-wheel drive. It has to be beefy enough to handle the lateral pull as well as the up and down. I mean, with a race car, you can throw some tiny chromoly tubes on there, because it's basically just the front tires just gliding on there. But when you have a four-wheel drive and you've got the front tires pulling on it, especially guys that are taking these things to the track and they're actually seeing some really good traction on some good surface, you've got to have something that's really strong up front. And without just reinventing the wheel, you know, if you build something super strong and it ends up weighing the same as the factory control arm, you know, what was the point in even doing it? So that's kind of where we're at now. So that's your Demon Performance Jeep update. Might have said it already. I know the tire kind of looks small in there. This is not necessarily the ride height. We're just getting axle width and driveline center right now, but it's probably going to be tucked up in there a lot more than what it is. We just don't want to base everything because the rear end we're going to get from Hammer is going to have a ton of adjustment on ride height, so that really doesn't matter at this point. We're just getting the center line and the width so we can get this build in process, because we got the Brakeman brakes going on the rear. We've got the strange heavy duty aluminum center section, all that stuff, 40 spline axles, gun drilled, the whole 9 yards. It'll obviously be clear coated like my Datsun. That's what they wanted. So it'll be an awesome setup. But looking forward to getting back going on this thing. We've actually been working on the roll cage a little bit. You can see some tape kind of simulating where the bars with 25/6. The only sucky part about that certification is you have to have this big annoying gusset that comes down off the, I just bumped the tape there, comes down off the A-pillar. It has to be somewhere between the middle of the A-pillar and the windshield bar here. It has to be in that range. You can get almost to the middle of the A-pillar, but you can't go downhill from it. So we got it here. It's got to intersect the top door bar and go down to the intersection here, and that tightens up your area of getting in and out of the Jeep. But fortunately the seat in this thing sits almost behind the door jamb here, and the main hoop is a good bit behind that, so it won't be quite as bad as getting in and out of my Datsun, but it'll be manageable. So there's your update. Something different for once besides Slick Rick, right? Here he is. See you next time, guys.